So I want to talk about Apple and their new logo and the rebrand, basically. Part of like the vibes here is kind of defaulting back to when it was, the colors of the rainbow, and when they were cool, back in like 77, but make it glass. So I think that's kind of what stood out to me was that they made the actual logo from glass and then filmed on top of it so they could get the like prism kind of making the rainbow shine through, which is kind of cool. So they colored it with lights instead of going digital. And I think it really, showcases that at a time when so many companies, and we'll talk about this later as well, but when so many companies are trying to use AI or go digital, the companies that are paying attention by doing it more manually know that they have a chance to show a different way of showing their brand and like what
Mhm.
they care about. And then they also lost the plus from the Apple TV, just to kind of show people that this is who we are now. Christine and I talked about this, I think pretty much the last time you were on here,
Yeah.
that like they
Yeah, we
don't have
did. Yeah.
that they don't have to like have the plus anymore, which makes sense because I'm seeing most of the other streaming
Mhm.
platforms are also losing the pluses. But I think what really excited me about this was that it's kind of Apple harkening back to being a company that's like building things, and really showing the craft as a differentiator, right? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, it kind of recalled their previous ads, like the 1984 ad. Um, and then, the computer Macintosh when they wrote out like that huge like it was like kind of like a whole essay about like, the computer,
Mhm.
and then even the PC versus Mac ads, right? Like those are just very distinctive for the time. It wasn't what any other like company was doing. So it was like really hitting those like marks of like we're building this craft, but then also bringing nostalgia marketing into it,
Mhm.
right? Where it's like they're reinterpreting their old logo and bringing it to the future instead of a just using the old logo again, or B, create a entirely like new rebrand. And then the last thing is it's just about using the practical effects versus the digital. I think right now so many companies are just defaulting to CGI and AI because it saves money, because it's easier, you don't have to like involve more people. So the fact that they really wanted to create it practically just shows that they're thinking more about what they want the brand to be and elevating it in that way. It's also for me really elevating the Apple TV brand itself,
Mhm.
which I've
Yeah.
spoken about time and time again. Like if a show comes on, I'm gonna watch it because it's
Mhm.
like an Apple TV show. So it's now replaced HBO as like the prestige TV streaming service,
Mhm.
which I think also speaks to what they're building here of like trying to really reacquaint the brand of Apple TV with this, the old Apple branding that they used to have, and then kind of merging it all together to have it all, be one thing. Did you see the brand update, Christina?
I did. I loved it. I think it really showcases, especially it coming from Apple, I think it just makes it significantly more profound because Apple is known for innovation. It's known for,
Mhm.
like you said, the 1984 ad where they are, here's to the troublemakers, here's to the innovators, here's to the people who are
Mhm.
really pushing things forward. And so I love that a tech company, when everyone else is choosing AI, is saying, what if we focus on craft and not
Mhm.
necessarily jumping to tech for tech's sake? And
Mhm.
so I love that. And I think it showcases everything that Apple's doing, especially as a media company,
Mhm.
is showing that it's quality over quantity. Like you said, if you see a show that's on Apple TV, you know that it's gonna be good. Like, you
Mhm.
know that they don't have flops. They're strategically choosing the best of the best, and so, you know that whether it's Slow Horses or whether it's Silo or a
Bad Sisters,
Bad
C
Sisters, ooh, I love See.
Foundation.
Foundation's great, but just, like, no matter what you're watching there, you know it's gonna be fantastic, and then I
Mhm.
think they also just got Pluribus, which is the new
Yeah, the
show.
Vince Gilligan show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is the new show, and so it really feels like Apple is showcasing what they can do, and I think that, like, I absolutely love that they not only didn't use AI, but didn't use CGI, but and then gave us the behind the scenes of, like, how they
Mhm.
actually did it. I think it is such an Apple move to say, like, "You could do that, but, like, watch us do it the hard way.
Mhm.
Watch us do it with through craft.
Yeah.
Watch us do it through physics." Like,
Yeah.
like, watches do it this way, and I think that it's such like, it feels so intrinsically Apple that they would do it that way, and I think that you're gonna see a lot of brands, and we're already seeing it. There are brands that are strategically choosing where they are in the AI
Mhm,
battle as to
mhm,
whether they're going all in and they don't care, or if they're being strategic about it and choosing, like, this needs to be rooted in reality, this needs to be rooted in craft, or, like, a blend, and so I think if you look at Coca-Cola versus Apple versus Barber with the Wallace and Gromit. I know we're gonna talk about that later, but just like all of these things, brands, whether they realize it or not, they're staking a claim in the AI
mhm.
battle as to where they are and how they see themselves in the battle for creativity.
Yeah, I think what I also love about it is that it's also signifying to the rest of Hollywood that like Apple is here to play. They're like, we
100%.
have money and we're gonna
Yeah,
use it. And
yeah.
we're seeing that with this, of course, but it also brings to mind the F1 movie, right? Where it's like
Yeah,
you read on like the history and like the making behind it, and it's like they had to go and create the cameras that would be able
mhm,
to film the cars
yeah,
making the noise and like driving really fast because the technology didn't exist. So
yeah,
Apple's like, bet we'll create it and then, put this movie out there. It ended up being like the highest grossing film that they,
yeah,
have ever made. One of
yeah,
Brad Pitt's, I think it was actually Brad Pitt's highest,
mhm,
grossing film as well. Um, they're pretty much pretty like it's pretty guaranteed that they're gonna do the sequel just
mhm,
because it did so well.
mhm,
Um, but it also brings to mind the whole, like, what we're seeing with, like, Kodak that's, like,
mhm,
doing they did the Ryan Coogler,
mhm,
video where, like, he's speaking about
yep,
the IMAX formats and, like, the sound quality and audio quality and all that. And it's just showing that, like, within Hollywood, there's this, like, separation happening of the
oh,
people that
yeah,
really wanna focus on the craft, and
yep.
then, the ones that are like, we should be using AI. I mean, who was it that, like, recently I think it was Kevin O'Leary that was, like,
Oh,
talking
I can't
about
with him, I can't
yeah,
with
that
him.
was talking about, like, "Of course we should be using AI. Why should we be paying for extras
I'd like
when, like"
AI to replace him. AI
Yeah.
can have him. Yeah.
Um,
I think that's a good point though, because you have, like, Ryan Coogler, and you also have, like, there's gonna be directors who specifically choose to work with Apple and the
oh, yeah.
studios that do this, like,
Mhm,
Guillermo del Toro has come out a lot recently with the
mhm.
Frankenstein movie,
Right.
talking about his views of AI. Christopher Nolan has not only talked about AI, but he's
Mhm,
also just has a massive track record for his use of practical effects versus
mhm,
CGI, and so not only is that, like, behind the scenes take of Apple signaling, like, they're gonna do it the hard way and do it
mhm,
beautifully. If I'm a director who has very, like, deep and passionate
mhm,
thoughts about practical effects versus CGI versus AI, and I see that studio like that
mhm.
showcasing that we are aligned,
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm Apple, I'm trying to get Nolan's next project. I'm
Right?
trying to get Guillermo del
Mhm.
Toro's next project because I know that we are aligned, and
Yeah.
so I think that that would be a huge get, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're thinking too.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I think, like, that's what we're seeing with a lot of the actors that have just
Mhm.
gone there, right? Like, I recently started watching it's another, series written by the Slow Horses writer.
Is that
They
the one with
created
Emma
this
Thompson?
Yes,
Yeah.
Emma Thompson and Rachel Wilson. And I was like, "Wait, what's this?" I didn't even, like, hear about this. And then I saw it, like, come up, and I'm like, "Okay, definitely watching that." So I
I
started
love
watching it, I'm
Emma
like
Thompson, so
I
I
know,
have to
right?
watch it, yeah.
You definitely have to, it's really good. Um, so the one thing that Apple isn't doing is great job of marketing some of the, secondary shows.
Yep,
They've shown that when they put money behind like money, marketing budget, and like creative ideas behind it, they can create the Severance, like,
yep.
pop up, and
I loved that.
grand
It's like Apple's I feel like big Apple's biggest problem with that and why they've struggled is because they're Apple. And so they try to do what they did for their past work. The name recognition is there, but with their media side, they've had to reestablish themselves. They have to build that brand as kind of from scratch
yeah.
because they're not a studio. They really have to like showcase that they can actually go into that sphere, they can go into that vertical, and they can own it, and they've done a really good job with, like, how selective they are with the projects they do, but I feel like they finally realize I feel like they have been listening, and they realize a lot of the marketing hasn't been good, but as soon as
Mhm.
I saw the Severance, like, experiential marketing,
Mhm, mhm.
I was like, "You're finally paying attention to Netflix." Like, that's what I need Apple to do is, like,
Right, but it's
watch Netflix,
been
like
Yeah, but it's been a while, you know? Like,
Yeah.
the severance thing was, like, earlier this year, so it's like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure wasn't that, like, March, April?
Yeah.
Um
It was, like, right before season 2 started, yeah.
Yeah, so, that's come and gone, you know? What's the next show? Like, even if it's not every single show, like, they have to
Yeah.
do something, right? Like,
Yeah.
they have to get their actors coming out to, like, speak on, the projects, like, doing something, because otherwise, the only way that I hear about them is by, flipping through my Apple
Yeah.
TV, like,
Yeah.
catalog, which is not the best way,
Yeah.
or word of mouth, which I will be honest, like, Apple's word of mouth is like, it's up there, right? Because like,
Yeah.
some people are paying attention just based on like the Vince Gilligan show, Pluribus,
That was
right? Like
all
that,
over Twitter the
right.
past, like,
So
couple
it's
days
like
for me.
that's
Yeah.
people talking about it, saying like you have to watch this show. Oh my God, it's like the best show ever. But then it's like, okay, but Vince Gilligan, he's like a proven successful director and like show
Mhm.
creator, showrunner, everything. What are they doing to like promote this next big show that could
Yeah.
be like a powerhouse for the network, and then like what you mentioned, right, like Netflix has been at this game for like a while. Like they could learn a thing or two from them and see what they were doing, back in the day when they first started. Now
Yeah.
Netflix, kind of has that word of mouth and
Mhm.
like their the name brand that they don't have to do it as much. Though they too have started kind of like stepping up their game with like a lot more series, like period series, right? Like the House of Guinness, like all those like shows that recently launched. The Guillermo del Toro, Frankenstein film. I just really wish they would step up their game.
That also showcases the power of marketing and
Yeah.
how being a great marketer in one specific vertical doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna be great in a different vertical.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you're used to, like, product marketing, you're not necessarily gonna be great at entertainment marketing and, like,
That's true.
understanding press cycles and comms and PR and, like,
Mhm.
it's a very different muscle, and so I think what Apple's I like, obviously, I'm not on the inside, but what I keep seeing is it feels like a lesson of just because you have mastered one level of marketing does not mean that you've mastered all of it.
Yeah.
It is a constant learning curve, and so you need to see like who are the other players in the market and what are they doing and what's working and what's not working. I especially in entertainment, I particularly love experiential. I think experiential works
Oh, yeah.
fantastic. Like what
Totally.
they did at Severance and Grand
Mhm.
Central Station. That is why that's why I watched all of season 1, binged it, and like got through season 2. Like
Mhm.
like, I don't know if I was a target market, but I took that bait immediately, like,
Yeah.
it 100% worked for me,
Yeah.
and I know that it worked for other people too, so,
Mhm.
yeah, I think you have a lot of product marketers at Apple who need to learn how to do entertainment, and so, like, I need you to be copying Netflix's homework,
Mhm.
like, you need to be seeing what they're doing, what they're not working, like, how they show up for things, what
Mhm.
they're like, how are they showing up? I love that. I think my one qualm with Netflix is that you can tell who their favorites are versus not. Like,
Sure.
I've seen shows that never got any love and then and then you have the Empire State Building lit up anytime Stranger Things is mentioned. Like,
Oh my gosh.
it's those kind of things, like,
Yeah.
I think my only problem is Netflix is they give a lot of love if it's a flagship show or it's, like, hyper trendy, but if it's not one of those 2 buckets, you kind of just like, you should be grateful you're in the room. That's probably
Yeah.
my only qualm with Netflix's marketing, but I get it, like, there's only so much budget, there's only so many hours in the day and
Mhm.
so much creative, but, yeah, I'd love for there to be a little bit more love for, like, more independent stuff there.
Yeah, I agree. Well, cool. So a couple things that stand out here, that good content is not enough. Like Apple is consistently putting out like gems of TV that everybody should be watching. I do like that I am finding about different shows from different communities. It's not consistent that like one person watches everything. But it does seem as if we're the ones that have to take it on ourselves to like get people to start watching the shows that we love. So that's a huge call out there. It's like we've reached this like level of like knowing that even within tech, right? We're starting to talk where it's like good content, a good product, good enough is just not enough anymore. You have to get those distribution channels open in order to start promoting your product to the people that would like your product or service. Apple needs to step it up in that regard. But one of the things that I think this ad and like the rebrand is going to help is doing that, is finding more of those like people that like want to work with them, whether it's the directors themselves that are like, hey, Apple is obviously, setting up what they think about, practical effects and AI versus like the craft and like art of movie making. And if that's something that artists and directors care about, clearly that's going to be the place that they want to go to. So it's a good way for them to be positioning themselves and kind of laying the road work for eventually getting to the point that they are, putting more marketing budget, behind.